Good morning, I'm Adam Harris, and this is the day ahead. Don't forget to click subscribe below to receive daily market analysis videos and important alerts. On the economic calendar for today, we have CAD retail sales data at 1:30 p.m. and ECB's President Draghi speaking at 3:30 p.m. Not much happened in the currencies this week, with the US dollar index mostly ranging, but gold and crude enjoyed decent moves anyway. The global indices and equities in focus could show us by the close of today how they feel about heading higher next week. You can jump to any chapter by clicking on the time link in the description below. Having a look at the US dollar index first in currencies, and we're still ranging within the bigger picture here, but price pulling back into those moving averages, sort of back down towards the 96 level, and then set up with some bullish candles here. If we break the high of that, we may well just see that US dollar index strengthen today, but for the most part over the last couple of days, the markets have been relatively undecided. You can just see here with these last couple of candles here, the market really not sure what to do. However, it is at least a bit clear with euro US dollar. It has encountered a historic support level, support resistance level, and currently producing a bearish indecision candle. So today, because Fridays can often actually trend and run right up until the close, we may well see price actually make a decision on which direction it ultimately wants to go on. And then we've got cable having pulled back and a couple of bearish indecision candles, but no real break yet. But it looks as though it's leaning towards, price action wise, leaning towards a break and heading lower. And at the same time, dollar yen is continuing to trickle up at a very, very weak trend back up into this resistance level, not really giving anything away there. No real change in momentum there. And then Aussie Kiwi here, having produced that bearish candle yesterday, I was looking for a break below the low of that. That has not happened. There's been no follow through here, so still waiting on a strong rejection candle there as a potential entry, a swing entry. CAD yen, I've just added it to my list. It's kind of broken through a level of resistance and support, and so I'm looking to see if price comes back, produces a bullish candle. So this may end up being a swing entry for me to pick up on Monday, and looking for that to close out and see how that ultimately forms. And actually that's it in terms of currencies for today. So there's a little bit of economic calendar news, not really expecting much, but the markets can run up until the close, so it'll be interesting to see if they start to produce some clarity there for next week. In the commodities on the move, and gold has actually retraced very close, never quite connected with that 1350 level. It's retraced back into the recent highs and back into the moving averages. So there is some definite bearish divergence there. At some point I do expect a deeper retracement, but for the moment, because it didn't actually connect with 1350 and up to 1365, which is really a strong resistance level, I do feel there's a probability that it's going to set up with a bullish candle and attempt to make another run at that level. And so it'll be interesting to see how today ultimately goes with this, but in the longer run, sort of over the next couple of weeks, I'm expecting gold to make a deeper retracement. That just bearish divergence of both of those indicators, but it has pulled back to a level of the previous highs. Silver also pulling back into a level of support and resistance, so I'll just be curious to see if we do get a bullish candle today, with the market attempting to make one more run a little bit higher before then doing a deeper retracement. Palladium finally taking a little bit of a breather here, back down towards the moving averages. On the other hand, I'm more bullish on palladium. I wouldn't mind a nice pullback and looking for an entry opportunity there. Crude oil continuing to climb higher, so principally looking nice and bullish there, even though it's a bit of a bearish candle. The momentum is still very much to the upside. Brent oil looking really nice, continuing to head higher. So all of that looking good. It's got some room up towards 1950, so there's still some potential for that to continue heading higher today. And then having a look at the cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, just to give it a sense of perspective. So Bitcoin, a little bit of an uptrend here. We've got high lows. This is Ethereum, high lows, high highs. Within the bigger picture, not enough of a change just yet, still within the lower bottom range. Then looking at Bitcoin, to compare that with the key level for Bitcoin is really 4,000. It'd be interesting to see if price can get back up above that level. It is trending upwards at the moment. Momentum indicators are looking nice and bullish, so there's a probability of that happening, but 4,000 is pretty much the line in the sand here. If we can get over that, then we can start to look at higher figures. So all of that looking pretty much nice and bullish there. And that's it in terms of commodities for today. And with the global indices, I'm actually going to mix it up a little bit today. I'm going to look at the Hang Seng first. These sessions now coming to near to a close. So the Hang Seng, the Hong Kong 50 is now finished nice and bullishly for the day, or at least certainly is finishing bullishly. Australia 200 as well, also continuing to push through its levels of resistance, looking nice and bullish. All of that implying the probabilities of a slightly stronger move to the upside. A lot of the other US indices as well have been consolidating back into the moving averages. What would be really nice is a nice bullish candle here, setting up for a nice move on Monday. Sideways motion, the market's pretty bullish. Doesn't quite want to retrace too much. So far this S&P 500 also looking nice and bullish. US tech, which is now back into the previous highs. This is a great area for it to set up with a bullish candle. So really looking to see how that ultimately goes for today. For the most part, we've had a sideways week, but that's not necessarily a sign of anything significant other than the markets wanting to take a bit of a breather, usually before heading a little bit higher. And then lastly, just comparing this to the FTSE 100, the UK 100, nice little bullish candles back into the buy zone, back into the previous highs. So again, a bullish candle in this area would be a nice little setup for another move early on in the week, next week. So that all looks nice and bullish and positive. And finally, with the equities in focus, Facebook, a lot of these actually having a bit of a down day yesterday. It doesn't necessarily speak for, but the week being a bit more of a retracement than anything else. So no triggering of the bullish candles that set up yesterday. Microsoft, on the other hand, so most of them actually having a bit of a down day yesterday. Microsoft clearly breaking out of this level. We've been stalking this for about a week. So there is that significant breakout to the upside, and the momentum indicators looking very nice and bullish. So all of that being supported. My expectation is over time is for this to continue to head a lot higher. Boston Scientific breaking through, but not following through on the bullish candle that I looked at yesterday, but it may well actually do it today, so I'll have to see how that sets up. Then looking at the bearish ones on my list, they also experienced a bit of a down day yesterday, so EasyJet encountering some resistance. At this level, they're close to 1320. Barclays as well, having had a gap up and then closing down, so a bit of a rejection of that level there at 166. So that encountering a little bit of resistance. Standard Chartered actually producing a rejection candle of that level of resistance at the moment, so still stuck in this range here. No real change. Was looking to see that break higher yesterday, and Lloyd's Banking looking very nice on its breakout of that range, but then producing a bit of a bearish day. That's pretty much standard in terms of a bit of a shakeout now that it's above that level, but I still like the fact that it's out of this range to the upside there. And BP finishing with a slightly bullish candle in that in the moving averages off the previous highs. So most of that would make sense that today or Monday we'd start to see prices starting to head higher now that they've had a bit of a breather. And so my expectation is, and it'll certainly gain in terms of confidence if we get a nice bullish day today across most of the different markets. And so indicating how the Asian markets are looking nice and bullish. Again, it'd be nice to see how the indices translate through into the individual equities, and if they do follow through on that bullishness. So ladies and gents, on that note, if it's trending, I'll be there. I want to wish you a great weekend, and we will chat to you on Monday. Just a reminder to hit the subscribe button. If you want to stay abreast of what's happening in the market, I'll be producing and bringing you the latest in the markets every morning in a freshly produced video.